The Beacon Protocol. Admiral Zyxthar of the Kelvari Empire stared at the holographic display with all four of his eyes twitching in disbelief. The message floating before him defied every principle of space warfare he'd learned in his 3 centuries of service. Good morning, space friends. This is Captain Alina Hughes of the Earth vessel Wanderlust. We're passing through the Cassiopeia sector with a lovely cargo of artisanal cheese and handcrafted furniture. Anyone interested in a trade? We've got extra Gouda that's simply divine. The message wasn't encrypted. It wasn't even trying to hide its origin. Instead, it bounced cheerfully across every known communication frequency, complete with the ship's exact coordinates and, most bewildering of all, pictures of the cheese in question. Impossible, Zyxthar muttered, his secondary antennae curling in distress. This must be a trap. He turned to his chief tactical officer, Commander Vex. Analysis. Vex, a veteran of countless space battles, looked equally perplexed. Sir, I've run every known deception algorithm. The message is exactly what it appears to be. They're actually advertising dairy products in a war zone. The Cassiopeia sector had been contested space for the last 50 years. Every species knew to traverse it in complete silence, running dark, using only the most sophisticated stealth systems. Every species except, apparently, humans. They've even attached their recipe for something called grilled cheese sandwiches, Vex added, his voice cracking with disbelief. The situation grew even more bizarre when another human vessel responded to the broadcast. Hey, Alina, Captain Raj here from the Chai Express. We're about 3 light hours away. Could definitely go for some of that Gouda. We've got some fantastic Bengali tea that pairs beautifully with cheese. Zyxthar watched in horror as the 2 human ships began coordinating a meeting point, sharing their favorite cheese and tea combinations, and inviting any other ships in the area to join what they called a space picnic. The Admiral's command center erupted into chaos when a 3rd human ship joined the conversation, this one broadcasting a playlist of something called Jazz Fusion that they thought would set the perfect mood for cheese tasting. Sir, his intelligence officer interrupted. You need to see this. She pulled up historical data showing that this wasn't an isolated incident. Human ships had been behaving this way since they first achieved faster-than-light travel. They broadcast their positions, shared recipes, organized impromptu concerts, and offered assistance to anyone within range, friend or foe alike. But how have they survived? Zyxthar demanded. The galaxy is filled with predator species, pirates, and hostile empires. The intelligence officer's response was interrupted by a new broadcast. This is Captain Alina again. Just wanted to let everyone know we've spotted some cloaked ships trying to hide in the nebula. We respect your privacy, but we've got plenty of cheese and tea for everyone. No need to be shy. Zyxthar froze. His entire battle fleet was hidden in that nebula, their presence undetectable by any known technology. Or so he had thought. Sir, Vex whispered, I'm beginning to think we've severely misunderstood humans. The Admiral watched as his supposedly hidden fleet received individual invitations to the cheese tasting, complete with suggested wine pairings for each ship's crew based on their species' biochemistry. Get me the High Command, Zyxthar ordered. The tactical manuals need updating, all of them. He paused, then added, and perhaps we should send a representative to this picnic, for intelligence-gathering purposes, of course. As his crew scrambled to comply, another human broadcast filled the command center. Update. We've also got some lovely classical music recordings from Earth. Anyone interested in a Mozart appreciation session while we sample the aged cheddar? In that moment, Admiral Zyxthar realized that everything he knew about warfare might be wrong. In a galaxy where every species treated space as a battlefield, humans treated it like a neighborhood block party. And somehow, impossibly, it was working. The most terrifying part? They seemed genuinely oblivious to how their behavior was revolutionizing interstellar combat doctrine. They weren't playing some elaborate psychological game. They just wanted to share cheese and make friends. Sir, Vex appeared at his side. High Command is waiting. What should I tell them? Zykthar stared at the latest human broadcast, which now included a detailed analysis of why brie cheese was best served at room temperature. Tell them, tell them we need to completely reconsider what we know about power, and perhaps stock up on Earth dairy products. The diplomatic incident. First Officer Nixvala of the Hegemony Intelligence Division was having the worst day of her career. The cause? A human cargo ship named Pixel Paradise that had just broadcast what she could only classify as a catastrophic security breach. Attention friendly vessels, Captain Marcus Chen here. We're hosting our weekly virtual reality game night. Got some classic Earth games lined up, Monopoly, Among Us, and Just Dance. Broadcasting coordinates for easy access. Don't forget to BYOS, bring your own snacks. The message triggered emergency protocols across 3 different species' military networks. The Hegemony's quantum computers nearly crashed trying to decode what they assumed was the most sophisticated encryption they'd ever encountered. After all, no one would actually announce a gathering of multiple species ships in contested space. Would they? Ma'am, her junior analyst Kretok reported, mandibles twitching nervously, I've run the transmission through every known cipher. It appears to be exactly what it claims to be. They want to play games. Nixvala's crystalline exoskeleton rattled with stress. Impossible. Run it again. But before Kretok could comply, another transmission cut through space. This is the Earth vessel Nebula Nomad. Count us in for game night. Fair warning, though, Captain Jennifer O'Malley is undefeated at Monopoly. Anyone brave enough to challenge her banking skills? The Hegemony's Strategic Response Center erupted into chaos. 3 different admirals demanded immediate action, though none could agree on what that action should be. The tactical analysis AI began composing poetry about the existential crisis it was experiencing. New transmission incoming, Kretok announced, voice quavering. The humans are. They're sharing their gaming credentials and virtual reality protocols. They're giving away their access codes. Indeed, Captain Chen was cheerfully broadcasting detailed instructions on how to join their virtual reality space, complete with troubleshooting tips for different species' neural interfaces. He even included a note about having programmed special accommodation for species with multiple limbs or non-humanoid forms. They've thought of everything, Nixvala whispered in horror. This isn't just a breach of security protocols, it's a complete disregard for their existence. The situation escalated when a T-Zixin battlecruiser, notorious for their aggressive territorial expansion, responded to the invitation. Not with weapons, as expected, but with a question about whether they needed to understand Earth rules of Monopoly before joining. Captain Chen's response echoed through every command center in range. Don't worry about the rules, we'll teach you. In fact, we've modified the game board to include properties from all known spacefaring civilizations. Wait until you see what we did with Park Place. Nixvala watched in disbelief as the most feared T-Zixin commander in the quadrant engaged in a detailed discussion about whether utilities were a worthwhile investment in Monopoly's economic system. Ma'am, Kretok interrupted her existential crisis, we're receiving reports that 3 Meridian stealth ships have declocked to ask about the rules of Among Us. They're saying it sounds similar to their species' traditional imposter identification rituals. The next few hours defied every principle of interstellar diplomacy. Ships from traditionally hostile species gathered in open space, their crews joining a virtual reality space to play games that humans had apparently been enjoying for centuries. The breaking point came when the T-Zixin battle cruiser's commander, after landing on boardwalk with a hotel, declared bankruptcy with such enthusiasm that 3 different species' diplomatic corps requested immediate cultural exchange programs with Earth. Update the threat assessment, Nixvala ordered, watching as Captain O'Malley explained the concept of a get-out-of-jail-free card to a fascinated Meridian ambassador. Humans are there. Dangerous, Kretok suggested. Worse, she replied, they're inclusive. As if to prove her point, Captain Chen's voice filled the command center again. Hey, everyone. After Monopoly, who's up for a Just Dance tournament? we've adapted the motion tracking for all known physiologies. Even energy beings can participate. The hegemony's strategic database, faced with categorizing this new form of diplomatic engagement, finally gave up and created a new classification. Aggressive hospitality, approach with enthusiasm. Nix Vala, watching her carefully constructed understanding of interspecies relations crumble in the face of virtual board games and dance competitions, made a decision. Kritak, prepare my neural interface. Someone needs to investigate this phenomenon personally. Which game will you be joining, ma'am? She straightened her crystalline form with all the dignity she could muster. Among Us. If humans want to teach the galaxy about identifying imposters, they should know that the hegemony wrote the book on infiltration. As she prepared to join the most bizarre diplomatic gathering in galactic history, Nix Vala couldn't help but wonder. In a game about finding imposters, would humans prove to be the greatest imposters of all, appearing harmless while completely revolutionizing galactic society through the power of game night? The answer, she suspected, would cost her several rounds of Monopoly to discover. The restaurant at the edge of war. Grand strategist Korthal of the Drachnid Collective had survived 3 galactic wars, 2 cosmic anomalies, and 1 particularly aggressive artificial intelligence uprising. But nothing in his extensive career had prepared him for Chef Amara Patel's daily menu broadcasts from the human vessel, Culinary Constellation. Good morning, space travelers. Today's specials include fusion sushi rolls with Centaurian seaweed, slow-cooked Terran lamb curry, and for dessert, a zero-gravity soufflé that literally dances on your tongue. Broadcasting coordinates for lunch service. Reservations recommended but not required. Korthal's threat assessment team had spent the last 3 weeks trying to decode what they were convinced was the most elaborate military deception in history. They had analyzed every ingredient list, scrutinized each cooking technique, and created complex strategic models based on menu pricing. Sir, his chief analyst Zexra reported, her scales shifting colors with anxiety, the human chef has just announced something called Happy Hour. Initial analysis suggests it involves reduced prices on fermented beverages and something called appetizers. The command center's AI suddenly interrupted. Warning! Multiple vessels altering course to intercept the Culinary Constellation's position. Korthal's defensive instincts kicked in until he realized the approaching ships weren't charging weapons. They were making reservations. Chef Amara again? The human's voice cheerfully filled the command center. Due to popular demand, we're extending our hours and adding a special tasting menu featuring dishes from 17 different species. Yes, we accommodate all biochemistries. Our molecular gastronomy lab can modify any dish to be safe and delicious for your specific biology. The Drachnid Collective's military doctrine was facing its greatest challenge. A human chef who treated contested space like a neighborhood restaurant district. The situation reached a new level of absurdity when a Meridian dreadnought, famous for never breaking stealth, decloaked just to ask if the soufflé contained gluten. Fascinating, murmured Zexra, watching as Chef Amara engaged in a detailed discussion about adapting Earth desserts for silicon-based life forms. They've weaponized hospitality. The breaking point came during what would later be known as the Great Paella Incident. Chef Amara, noticing several cloaked ships lurking near her restaurant ship, broadcast a message that sent ripples of panic through every military force in the sector. To all our shy friends trying to hide behind the asteroid field, I can't help but notice you've been watching for days. Your cloaking devices are very impressive, but they can't hide the fact that you're hungry. I'm making a special paella tonight, enough for everyone. Why don't you come out and join us? No weapons needed, just bring your appetite. Korthal watched in disbelief as 3 supposedly hostile species ships decloaked simultaneously, their commanders apparently more interested in sampling Earth cuisine than maintaining tactical advantages. Sir, Zexra reported, her scales now a confused mix of colors, the hegemony battlecruiser is, requesting wine pairing suggestions, and the Tzixin Fleet Admiral is asking about vegetarian options. The situation reached its diplomatic climax when Chef Amara introduced Coalition Night, a weekly event where species that were technically at war could enjoy a neutral dining space together. The only rule? All weapons had to be checked at the door, and everyone had to try at least one dish they'd never had before. The galaxy's greatest warriors, Corthell mused, watching as a notorious pirate fleet carefully followed proper dining etiquette while sampling Earth sushi, reduced to food critics. Sir, Zexra interrupted his contemplation, Chef Amara has just announced a cooking class series. She's offering to teach representatives from all species how to prepare their favorite Earth dishes. The implications were staggering. Not just cultural exchange, but cultural integration through gastronomy. The humans weren't just sharing their food, they were sharing their methods, their traditions, their very way of life. Your orders, sir? Zexra asked, trying to maintain military protocol even as the scent of curry somehow made its way through their ship's ventilation system. Corthell, veteran of countless battles and master of strategic warfare, made what he would later describe as the only logical decision. Make a reservation, but first ask if they can accommodate exoskeletal diners, and find out more about this happy hour concept, for tactical purposes, of course. As he watched his most fearsome warriors debate the merits of different curry spice levels with former enemies, Corthell realized that perhaps the humans had discovered the greatest weapon of all, the universal truth that it's hard to maintain hostilities when. The Rescue Revolution. High Commander Lyria of the Quantum Defense Alliance had spent decades perfecting the art of silent operations. In the treacherous void of space, survival meant stealth, secrecy, and never, ever broadcasting distress signals. Then the humans arrived and shattered every rule with their emergency response network. Attention all ships, this is Captain Diego Ramirez of Earth Rescue Vessel, Hope's Horizon. We've detected a damaged ship in the Carina Nebula. Broadcasting coordinates now. Any vessels in range, please assist or relay this message. Remember, today it's them, tomorrow it could be you. The message blasted across all frequencies, accompanied by detailed specifications of the damaged vessel, suggested rescue protocols, and most shockingly, an open invitation for any nearby ships to join the rescue effort. They're going to get themselves killed, Lyria muttered, her bioluminescent patterns flickering with stress. But before she could finish the thought, something unprecedented happened. Ships began responding, not just human vessels, but ships from dozens of species. The Meridian Stealth Fleet, famous for never revealing their positions, decloaked to offer their advanced tractor beams. A Drachnid warship diverted course to provide medical support. Even a notorious pirate vessel offered its specially modified repair drones. Captain Ramirez again, thank you all for responding. Quick update, we've established a rescue coordination channel, sharing access codes now. Yes, all access codes. This is about saving lives, folks. Lyria's security officer, First Sentinel Krev, nearly short-circuited his neural implants. They're giving away secure communications protocols to everyone, including 3 species we're technically still at war with. But it got worse, or better depending on one's perspective. This is Dr. Hanako Tanaka from the medical bay of Hope's Horizon. A new voice joined the broadcast. We're preparing for multiple species medical emergencies, uploading our complete xenobiology database now. Please share any relevant medical information your species might have. Knowledge saves lives. The Quantum Defense Alliance's strategic computers began displaying error messages as they tried to categorize this behavior. It defied every known military doctrine. Humans weren't just ignoring operational security, they were actively dismantling it in the name of helping others. Ma'am, Krev reported, his voice unusually quiet, I'm detecting something strange. The rescue operation. It's working. Multiple species are coordinating seamlessly. They're sharing technologies we didn't even know existed. Lyria watched in fascination as traditional enemy species worked together, guided by the relentlessly optimistic human rescue crew. The humans treated every participant as a trusted ally, and somehow, impossibly, everyone began living up to that trust. Amazing news, everyone. Captain Ramirez's voice boomed again. "Thanks to our combined efforts, all crew members have been safely evacuated. But wait, there's more. During the operation, we discovered that meridian phase shift technology works perfectly with Drachnid power systems. Think of the rescue possibilities. We're organizing a conference to explore more such combinations. All species welcome." "They're turning a rescue mission into a technological exchange program," Krev whispered in awe. "And everyone's just agreeing to it." The situation reached its peak when Captain Ramirez proposed establishing permanent emergency response protocols between all species. Not just guidelines, but actual technological and tactical integration for rescue operations. "Because space is big, dangerous, and unpredictable," he broadcast cheerfully. "But together, we're bigger, stronger, and can handle any prediction." Lyria watched as centuries of carefully maintained barriers between species crumbled in the face of human-inspired cooperation. The most powerful weapons in the galaxy were being repurposed for rescue operations. Military channels were being used to coordinate emergency responses. Former enemies were conducting joint training exercises, not for war, but for saving lives. "First Sentinel," Lyria decided, her bioluminescence settling into patterns of determination. "Prepare our ship for integration into the emergency response network." "But ma'am, our stealth technology is classified." "Not anymore." She straightened in her command chair. "If humans can risk everything to save strangers, we can risk our secrets to save anyone." As if in response to her decision, a new message filled the command center. "Emergency Response Network Update. We're organizing a multi-species rescue simulation next week. Training scenario includes everything from basic first aid to coordinated fleet maneuvers. Also, Chef Amara from the culinary constellation is catering. All ships welcome." Lyria's patterns shifted to something that might have been amusement. The humans had done the impossible. They'd made emergency response the most powerful force in the galaxy. Not through fear or secrecy, but through open channels, shared knowledge, and an unwavering belief that everyone deserves help. "Send our confirmation," she ordered. "And Krev, make sure our medical database is ready to share. It's time we join the revolution." The Symphony of Chaos. Supreme Observer Zelthos of the Galactic Council found herself in an unprecedented situation. For the first time in recorded history, the council chamber was filled with representatives from every known spacefaring species. The reason? A human celebration they called a galaxy-wide festival of unity. "Greetings, everyone." The holographic figure of Captain Yuki Nakamura from the Earth vessel, Harmony's Dawn, appeared in the center of the chamber. "We're thrilled to announce the first-ever Interstellar Cultural Festival. We're broadcasting coordinates for multiple celebration hubs across all sectors. Everyone's invited." "They can't be serious," muttered a Drachnid representative. "Broadcasting the locations of every major species gathering simultaneously, it's tactically insane." But the humans weren't done. Captain Alina Hughes from the Wanderlust joined the broadcast. "We've got cheese tastings in the Orion sector," followed by Chef Amara Patel. "Full menu of cross-cultural fusion cuisine in the Carina Nebula." And Captain Diego Ramirez. "Emergency response demonstrations and technology exchange in the Perseus Arm." The council chamber erupted into chaos as more human ships joined the broadcast, each announcing their contribution to the festival. Captain Marcus Chen's virtual reality gaming tournaments, meditation sessions led by the crew of Serenity's Path, and even live performances of Earth music adapted for various species' auditory organs. "Order," Zelthos called out, her crystalline form vibrating with stress frequencies. "We must analyze the strategic implications of—" She was interrupted by a new broadcast. "This is Professor Jun Park of the Earth vessel Knowledge Seeker. We're setting up libraries of shared scientific and cultural knowledge at each festival hub. All species are encouraged to contribute and access the databases, because understanding leads to peace." The Council's threat assessment AI, which had been quietly going insane trying to analyze human behavior for the past year, finally spoke up. "I have reached a conclusion about human strategy." Everyone fell silent. The AI had been processing data about human behavior patterns since their first appearance in galactic society. Humans, the AI announced, are executing the most sophisticated peace offensive in galactic history. They are not merely ignoring traditional conflict paradigms, they are actively replacing them with cooperation protocols. Their weapon is not secrecy but radical transparency, not isolation but aggressive inclusion. As if to prove the AI's point, the festival broadcasts continued, each more bewildering than the last. The culinary constellation announced a feast featuring dishes from all known species, modified to be safely enjoyed by everyone. The Hope's Horizon offered workshops on integrated emergency response techniques. The Pixel Paradise organized multi-species esports tournaments. But what if it's a trap? Someone asked. Captain Nakamura's response came as if on cue. Of course it's a trap. We're trying to trap everyone into becoming friends. The only way to resist is to not have fun, and let's be honest, where's the fun in that? The chamber fell silent as the implications sank in. Humans weren't just ignoring the rules of galactic society, they were rewriting them. Every broadcast, every shared meal, every game night, every rescue mission was another thread in a vast tapestry of connection. The humans, Zelthos realized, have weaponized joy. The final piece clicked into place when a massive fleet of human ships appeared at the announced coordinates, led by the Harmony's Dawn. Instead of weapons, they carried food, games, medical supplies, and cultural artifacts. Their shields were down, their broadcasting channels were open, and they were sending personal invitations to every ship in range. They're making it impossible to maintain traditional conflict structures, the AI observed, by simply refusing to acknowledge them. Zelthos watched as ships from traditionally hostile species began arriving at the festival locations. The humans greeted each arrival with the same enthusiasm, whether they were from ancient enemies or long-standing allies. "Supreme Observer," her assistant whispered, "what are your orders?" Zelthos looked around the council chamber, at representatives of species who had been enemies for millennia, all equally baffled by human hospitality. She thought of Chef Amara's restaurant bringing enemies together over meals, Captain Chen's games building bridges through play, and Captain Ramirez's rescue missions forging bonds through shared purpose. Send our acceptance, she decided, and inform all sectors the galaxy is changing. The humans have introduced a new form of warfare, aggressive peace, and the only way to lose is not to play. As the council chamber emptied, representatives hurrying to join the festivities, the AI made one final observation. The humans have achieved what no species thought possible. They've made peace more interesting than war. And across the galaxy, on thousands of frequencies, the festival invitation continued to play. Come join us, because space is too vast and life is too short to spend it hiding from each other. Bring snacks, bring games, bring songs, but most importantly, bring yourselves. The party won't be complete without you.